Olá pessoal, este vídeo é o último da série, que foi apresentada semanalmente. No vídeo de hoje falaremos sobre o mapa de movimento e encerramos então nossa série com mais uma ferramenta inovadora. Os vídeos mostrados foram todos filmados utilizando a revolucionária e absolutamente incrível tecnologia de processamento de vídeo Motion Amplification da RDI, apresentado pelo CEO e fundador da empresa, Jeff Hay.
Talk a little bit about Motion Map here. This is sort of a new tool to be able to visualize. It's a new tool to be able to visualize motions on a scene. So let me bring up a demonstration here, a live demonstration. We looked at this. We know that there's three major frequencies in it. I'm going to turn on this tool called Motion Map, and what it does is gives me an overlay of motion in color with sort of like a thermal image, but distilling it down to red is more intense and blue is less intense. And I can actually analyze, and this is really what I want to show you, analyze individual frequencies in this scene. So I'm going to go through and just pick a frequency here, and then look at that right in the scene. And I can actually just look through this entire series of data and see, you know, in these colorized images, what's going on. This is one of the quickest ways that you can go through and analyze motion with these motion maps. So what we're doing is really doing a color overlay of motion only at a particular frequency. This is the motion occurring at only 14 hertz. And this is the motion occurring only at 15 hertz. And this is the motion occurring only at 8 hertz. And one of the things, let me point out one of the things that you can show here. Look at the way that you can see the way in which the vibrations kind of propagate through this railing all the way down, right? If you show the motion on the nearby one, you can see that they fall off pretty rapidly. So, you know, with this quick assessment tool, you can actually get a very quick visualization of motions, you know, in a very easy to understand way. So here is, you can kind of see that, you know, in fact, that if you look at this screen here, you can see that that the vibrations fall off here, even though this is a nearby screen, you know, to this railing, you know, kind of getting levels of green. But if we go over here, you can see, you know, levels of red. So this screen is actually vibrating this railing more than this one is, even though it's right next to it. So it kind of clues you in, maybe that it's coupled, or maybe it's coupled to it, or maybe this prefers this mode of vibration. So you can do, you know, you can do some interesting things. You can change the overlays so that you're only showing sort of this motion at a particular frequency. And now I can play this back and show sort of the motion amplification with it. Again, not to focus on the motion amplification, just know that this can be supplemented to show an overall video of motion, which is the motion amplification video, and highlight individual frequencies at a given time. Let me show you one more structure that I think is interesting. I'm gonna do a motion map of this structure. And I really like this because, you know, one of the ways that I sort of use this is to go through and just investigate a data set, right? So if I go through, I can actually go through and start scanning this and picking up on individual beams within a structure like this, and to figure out, you know, what frequencies they're moving at. What I'm doing is I'm scanning through the different frequencies here, and just looking at all the different components that are popping out in the scene at the different frequencies, and, you know, getting a level of understanding. So again, this motion map is a really quick way to be able to get at you know, understanding motion. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about is this idea of continuous monitoring. You know, with a continuous monitoring system, you know, like the CM, you can place 3 cameras out and configure them all, set them up, and leave them. You know, you can configure them much like you do a normal camera, set them up and turn them on and run them nonstop. And you can set up triggers with an individual ROI, region of interest. So you can draw a box here, and the camera now can monitor that location in real time continuously with simple preset levels and trigger off 1, 2, or 3 cameras. You could tell one camera to fire off all the cameras, and you can monitor assets this way nonstop just with the camera. You can set, timer triggers, accelerometer triggers, all that. But I wanted to really focus on the camera portion of it, which is the ROI, where you can draw this box and monitor that in real time. Monitor that box in real time for motion, right? As if there was an accelerometer placed on it. Again, timer triggers, and you can even do live amplification. You could have this camera set out and in your office, press a button on a screen and show live what that camera is doing right now, what that asset's doing on the camera. And so just kind of show you really quick what's been done with it. This was in a lab configuration, a test where they were testing this elbow, and they wanted 3 cameras on it simultaneously. So you can see again, in the software we created this multi-view of all 3 cameras. This is an image where we put an image in this 4th quadrant. 3 cameras all simultaneously collecting data, and they were exploring different changes to the structure so that they could, to this elbow, so that they could decide upon what was the right fit. So they would go through, and they wanted to be able to capture all these things individually, simultaneously. And so they used this continuous monitoring system to be able to do that. All through these different configurations. And then it was also ran overnight and actually triggered off of these. So these are 2 camera view, triggered off these events where they were captured a support that was loose because it went through an elevated level of vibration. And so we'll see that here in a second, where this support gets loose. So again, this is just not, what the point of this is not to necessarily focus on the motion amplification. It's the idea that you can set this camera overnight like this and capture things like this, right? Without being there. Let it do the work for you. I don't want to know unless it gets above a certain level of vibration, with these, and all done with the camera. And then again, this was a remote facility where they were having problems with the pump, and there was a coast down, and they were capturing it. Again, a long recording here to go through these this event. But of course, no one manned this. This was a remote building that no one was in, and this was a 70-foot long shaft that ran down to collect water on a vertical pump. And so this was nice because it gives you the ability, the continuous monitoring can do, 90 minutes worth of video, it stores that. And so any point in time, this was what we call an extraction. So 90 minutes worth of video are constantly, like a DVR, it's just overwriting, buffering. And so, operations calls in and says, hey, we just did the coast down. Oh, you did it 30 minutes ago? Yeah. It's not always coordinated with operations. And so they went in and actually extracted this video for the proper time, and then just got the coast down. That simple, right? So again, in this case, they weren't relying on the. I'll speed this up so you guys can get to the main event here. But they weren't relying on the fact that it was triggering. They relied on this extraction process to be able to see this event and then pick it out and then go through. Of course, they could have triggered off that because you can kind of see that waveform. So again, just getting back to this idea that cameras allow you to do a lot of different things. You can put a lot of things in context with 3 cameras continuously monitoring an asset.
Agradecemos a atenção dada ao 7º vídeo da série. Todos os vídeos estão disponíveis no nosso canal do YouTube. Não deixe de se inscrever e nos acompanhar nas redes sociais, LinkedIn e Facebook, onde disponibilizamos palestras, trabalhos técnicos e também vídeos para a sua atualização. Na era da indústria 4.0, a Vitec disponibiliza as mais avançadas tecnologias de monitoramento online, como análise de óleo, vibrações e motores elétricos, que, integradas, permitem acompanhar o desempenho das plantas em tempo real e à distância. E não percam, amanhã às 18 horas, o nosso webinar sobre sistemas térmicos inteligentes para triagem de febre.